afternoon, friends. We have an absolute peach of a guitar on the bench right now, and this is the dream guitar for a new client, and it is a Gibson Les Paul Junior, and what a beautiful looking thing. These guitars are held in very high regard, very simple, one P90 type pickup, one volume, one tone. This one comes in with a wraparound bridge which is going. It's got a Graphtec type nut which replaces bone. It's a man-made bone that also is coming out. The new owner of this guitar, he wants many upgrades doing to this, so we're going to stick on some Clues-on vintage tuners which should slot straight on. We're redoing all of the electric, and we're changing the bridge, I think. We're changing the bridge. I don't see how we can be changing the bridge because this bridge is it compensated? Certainly looks like it is, but he has got a new bridge in it. He obviously wants me to wrap around, so we're sticking this one on there. This is a Mojo X compensated wraparound tailpiece. Oh, it is compensated. Oh, that's fine. So we're sticking that on there. We've also got some brand new pots, again vintage inspired, from vintage inspired pickups. I don't know what they are. Let's have a look. We'll wang them up there. Some vintage wire and a Bumblebee capacitor. The lad who owns this has spent some money, I can tell you. That's going on there, and we've got that there. We've got all the bump with the guitar, all the Gibson bump, or some Gibson bump. Yeah, all that gubbins just there. It doesn't need any fretwork as far as I know. For some reason there are some string through grommets in there, but anyway, that aside, should be quite a straightforward fix on this guitar. Now, I do think that it doesn't need any fretwork. I've quoted him a price for this, which he has agreed to. Can't exactly off the top of my head remember what I quoted him, but it is in the text and the WhatsApp messages with an exchange in. Now, I'm thinking these frets are fine on this. Well, that's a high one. Anyway, whatever, I'll sort of frets out anyway. I think 150 quid I quoted him on this, so 150 quid's pretty much bang on. That's for an intensive setup, which is 80 quid. A new nut on there, which is going to cost 45 quid, carved and fitted. That's 125, and all the electrics in there. Charge him another 25 quid on that. 150 quid's about right on this. Not plugged it in, not tested anything, but should be pretty straightforward. Not anything too difficult. Nice looking guitar. It is dated 2013. Looks like a 2013 to me. Only Gibson is good enough, apparently. Sounds a little bit out of tune. Well, it is out of tune. But yeah, I'm going to plug this in, have a little play on it, have a look around, see what the intonation's like. The compensated bridge, so the intonation, you can't change it anyway. You can just move it backwards and forwards slightly. I don't actually like these wraparound bridges myself, but that's just me. But anyway, let me do a little bit of fettling, a little bit of playing about with it. Probably the hardest thing on this will be removing this nut because it is sunk in. Let me show you there, look. Pause there. So that may be a little bit difficult. I will remove it from the underside. I'll cut around the lacquer so we don't chip any lacquer. There is quite a bit of lacquer build up over the nut, which is slightly unfortunate. It makes it a little bit more difficult to remove, but if we do get any chips in there, it's just tough. We can't do anything about it, but I will take utmost care in getting that nut removed. But like I say, got to crack on with it. I will come back with an update very, very soon. Okay, so I have the guitar stripped. Tuners off, nut's not out yet, the electric's out. Now this came with one of these new fandangled quick connect monstrosities that no one particularly likes. One good thing about it is it has a fantastic input jack on there, and the one Mitch has sent me, it is basically garbage. He sent me, what have I done with it? I put it back in here. Flimsy piece of crap. In there, it's in there. So these £3, £4, £5 job is off eBay. I'm bunging that. I'm putting it back in his bag. I'm going to go with I'm just going to bought myself a dozen, well half a dozen Pure Tone mono jacks. You know, Pure Tone, here you go, let me just show you. I've imported these from America, bought a batch full of them from Stumac, and the great thing about these is they have 4 points of contact, so they are double strength. You put your jack in there, it is not going to bend one way or another. Absolutely fantastic quality. I think if you bought one of these in England, you pay about £11 for one. I managed to import these at under £5 each, including import tax. So I'm going to stick one of these in there. We have a new jack plate with screws, a metal one that will bend around there. That's going to fit perfectly. So everything I'm using is gone in here. Like I said, we've got the 2 pots, we've got the lovely bumblebee cap. Again, waste of money. These, they might look good. It's probably cost you 50, 70 quid. Any capacitor will do. You could have just stuck an orange drop in there. You're not going to notice any tonal difference whatsoever. This is just going to look good. And I understand the guy wanted it all wiring up vintage to vintage spec and what have you. But these, don't be fooled by how good these are. They're no different to an orange drop. Or I have a batch of 1960s old stock, new old stock Mullard mustard capacitors. Absolutely fantastic. Just as good as these. I paid £1 each for them. Can't get them anymore. I ought to be selling mine for about 20 quid each now, but I don't. I charge all anything for them. But anyway, that in there, wire in there. So all the bits I'm going to use are in here. Next thing I have to do is remove this nut. Now, I've told Mitch that we may have a problem with this because it is lacquered over. And I don't know if you can see, but this is lacquered from below my finger. You can see a line just there below my fingernail, and there's a line of lacquer goes over this part of the nut. And the same again this side, there's a line of lacquer comes across here. So I'm going to cut round the lacquer and try not to crack it over the guitar bit. It might be a tall order to do. I'm going to do my level best. I do have an X-Acto knife and a Stanley knife, so I'm going to cut through the lacquer. Hopefully not chip, but if it chips, basically tough. Nothing I can do. I could possibly build up the area using some epoxy resin, but the build-up of lacquer over the nut itself is about 1/4 of a millimetre, probably a little bit more than 1/4 of a millimetre. For me to get that off without cracking it is going to be nigh on impossible. But I'm going to try my level best and see what I can do. If we do crack it, it's just unfortunate. It's one of those things. But the most important thing is, if he wants to pay another 100 quid for me to get it all sprayed up again, I could do that. But no, it's a waste of expense. So it's something we may have to put up with if that does happen. I will do my very, very best not to crack the lacquer. I'm going to put the guitar in a vise in a minute, and we're going to get a Stanley knife on there, and I'm going to cut it on camera so you see yourselves how it goes. Everything else should be pretty much straightforward. I'm just going to try this wraparound bridge tailpiece. Again, Mojo Axe, unaged, compensated wraparound tailpiece. Blah 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 blah. Let's hope it fits the studs first and foremost. An Allen key on there so we can set it back or forwards for the intonation. Again, that fits perfectly. It does actually wobble, don't fit perfect. It wobbles a bit left and right, but that's okay. That's fine. Certainly looks better than the other one. I'm not a fan of wraparound bridges, but again, that's personal choice. You know, it doesn't matter what I like, does it? It's about what the client likes. So that is ready to go on. That will be absolutely fine. Let me get this set up in the vise, and we're going to grab a Stanley blade and we're going to try and get this nut removed without chipping the lacquer on the neck. I've got to pray for this one. So folks, I'm having a good day. I'm listening to some Red Hot Chili Peppers live from 2003 at some castle somewhere. But the day could get a little bit worse right here, right now, because I'm attempting to cut around the lacquer on this nut. Now I've already cut where the nut meets the headstock area, but what I've got to do is I've got to try and cut through this lacquer without it chipping too far or chipping into the neck. And I'm just cutting there with a very, very, very sharp blade. And I don't want to slip with this. Now it's already cut to the end of the nut, so if I just cut gently around the nut here, I may be able to just remove this bit of lacquer, and that is fantastic. I've cut round the lacquer over the nut without chipping anything or cutting into the lacquer actually on the neck itself. So we're going to remove that nut cleanly. I'm going to show you exactly what I've done in a second, and that's gone extremely well. Let me just show you what I've just done there. I've just cut the lacquer from the nut right around the nut in a perfect rectangle, so there's no lacquer on this nut at all now, but it stops at the edge of the nut just there, and that's that side done. And now I'm going to flip over again in the vise, always taking your time and being careful. Great piece of kit, this vise. It's just like the Stumac vise, except this is not from Stumac. I bought it from dictum.de in Germany. So again, what I'm doing is I'm going to cut round this nut, and I want to keep my thumb out of the way because I don't want to slice into my thumb. And I'm just going to cut right round the edge of the nut, and I'm sorry that you can't see, but more important that I cut this correctly rather than you can see. And I'm thinking I've probably just got that lacquer absolutely how I want it there. And there you go. And again, I've cut the lacquer from the guitar without cracking it. Praise the Lord. I did do a little prayer before I attempted this. So now we're going to try and remove a nut without damaging the guitar. And I've cut through here where the nut meets the headstock, and what I'm going to try and do is ever so gently just tap that out, and I'm going to just tap this way if I can. I don't think I can get any purchase on it there with it locked in where it's at, so I'm just going to move this back. We don't want to snap anything on the headstock, and it is slightly inside the headstock. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my not straight edge, and we're just going to tap this ever so gently just to try and loosen that. And that may have just knocked it a little bit looser. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take an old screwdriver, and we're just going to try and drift that nut away, and we're going to be very, very gentle, always padding underneath the guitar. Let me show you how I do this. I'm just going to drop this camera just a little bit just to show how we support everything. We don't want any accidents. This is where I'm going to be working. You can see that. So under the guitar neck, some thick padding in case we do slip from the vise. We're not going to smash the guitar or anything. And what we're going to attempt to do is just remove this nut. And I'm going to just put a screwdriver in there, and we're just going to tap it gently. And it has taken a chip out of the guitar, and I always knew that might happen. It's why I'm working on the underside. And I may have to just saw through this nut, saw it in half and collapse it in on itself, and I think that is exactly what I am going to do, because we're not going to be able to remove it from the guitar as it is. So, change of plan. So we're going to cut through the nut down the middle, hopefully not sawing through the neck. And we're going to collapse this in on itself. So I'm going to do this off camera. I'm going to be very, very careful, and I will come back when we're ready to remove the nut. I've gone for the best saw I have in the shop, and this is made in Sheffield by Pax. It is a great piece of kit, and it is a fret slotting saw, and we're just going to take our time with this because it is quite sharp. We do not want to saw the necking off. So I'm keeping an eye on what I'm doing. got miles to go yet. I'm going to, again, I do have all different saws. This may be even better, a Japanese style, very thin bladed saw. And this is going to get us much closer to where we need to be. I feel much safer using this one. So this type of gubbins here, we just need to tighten up that blade. Let's see where we are with this one, and there you go, that's a lot better. And sometimes this is the only way we can remove a nut. Let the saw do the work. The hardest thing is checking the far side. Oh, we're not even touched the far side, we're down about 0.5 millimetre. Crikey me. So this is going to take me a while. You'll find once we get one piece off of this, it's all going to fall off. Again, a long way to go. We're not even halfway through yet, so let me do this off camera. I will come back when we're ready to remove the nut. So we are within probably 0.5 millimetre of the base of the nut, so I'm going to attempt to crush it in on itself here and just see if we can loosen it for removal. And I don't know if that's helped. I wonder if I can just remove the tape and have a look, see where we are. And again, we've not sawn all the way through, but we are very close. You don't want to be sawing through the neck anywhere at all, so nice and gentle with the saw. I can see where I am this side, but not the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I'm eyeballing this side, now I'm going to go and eyeball this side and see how close we are to getting all the way through. We can't get that far away. It's very strange for it not to have moved just yet. Just see what we can do by giving it some of this. Surely that is loosening it somewhere. No, it's not going anywhere by the looks of it. So Mr. Glue Man must have really given that some. Let me just see if we can try and move it with a drift. I'm just going to move it as close as I can to the edge of the vise, and again I'm going to try and get a drift on it and just try and get it to move. I may have to try and get some heat in there, but again, heating up a man-made nut, we don't know what's going to happen. I'm now hitting into the nut itself, and I do believe we have the nut free, and that was very hard work. And you see we've cut virtually all the way through. We've got it cut, and there was a lot of glue in there, but we do have a clean removal, which is always fantastic. Now, I've slightly scratched the headstock. I know I'd done that. I think we're just going to have to work around that, but let's have a look and check the removal. And there you go, we do have a clean removal. So just wipe away all that excess there. Lovely, lovely clean removal there. So that is a good thing. So now it's all about fitting the new nut. And there you go. So now we're going to be shaping the nut from a piece of nylon. I've already carved it down quite a bit. It was that thick when I started with it, and now it's quite a bit thinner. And we need this to fit the guitar. So with a good flat file in the vise, we're just going to keep shaping this down, keep filing this down until it fits the slot. It is just high enough. I didn't think it was going to be when I first took it out of the pack, but it's just high enough for what we need. And we just need to keep doing this, like I say, until it fits the slot. Then we can shape it and get it in there. So I'm going to keep going over to the guitar and having a look. We're getting close to where we want to be. Nylon's not that difficult to work. We're still a millimetre away, I believe. So just carry on. I do a lot of this handwork on a file in a vise. If I had a belt sander it'd be a lot easier, but I don't have a room for it. I don't have a room for industrial type tools or proper woodworking tools in here. So we do it all the old fashioned way, by hand. We put some elbow grease into it. And we'll get in there slowly but surely. I've got two of these to do, by the way. He wants a nylon nut on his SG as well. But wouldn't have been my first choice, nylon. There's a reason we stopped using nylon. That's because they've got better materials later on. But the guy wants nylon. So let's crack on with it. When we start getting close to where we want to be, we should go and keep checking. I still think that's too thick, but we'll go and have a check. And yeah, we're getting close. We are still, you can't see it from where you are, crikey, we're still a millimetre off. I'll carry on doing this and I'll come back a little bit later. Moving on, the nut I cut fits the slot perfectly, so we're going to shape that later. So we're moving on to the frets, and I now remember why I only quoted 150 quid. It's because there are only 5 frets need attention. And we've got the not straight edge on the neck. The neck is dead straight. I wanted the truss rod to make it dead straight. And I've been across with a fret rocker, and there are 5 frets with high spots. 1, and that one appears to be okay now. 2, 3, and this one down here 4. So 4 high frets. So we're going to just spot level these, filing that way, using various files. I'm going to do it in a minute because my wife is due back from work any minute now. She's going to walk in and interrupt the camera. So we've got 4 high frets, which I need to sort out. Once that's done, we can look again the electrics with new electrics in, and various other jobs. So back soon. Okay, so with the pickup dismantled, I'm measuring the wires, and the only place I get a reading is between the green and the white wire. So it looks like Gibson have used 4 conductor wire on a 2 conductor pickup. It means one of red or one of green or white is hot, and one of green or white is earth, and the other 3 are just not used. There's absolutely no other reading. So I've measured the pickup. It measures 8.04 k ohms DC resistance, which is right for a P90. So I would say that the black, the red and the bare wire on this are completely redundant. And to show that, I'm going to join all three together like so. And I'm going to take a reading on the green and on the white. I'm going to show you on the multimeter what we get. And we're getting about 8.04, 8.05 ohms. And there you go, 8.05. Can you see that? That's the only place we're getting a reading, and that is right for a P90. So the only two wires used are going to be those two. Very, very surprising. No wonder I couldn't work out what was what. There's nothing else to report, really. What can I say? Very surprised. Why confuse us all by putting? Why confuse us all by putting a 5-core wire on there? No other reading anywhere else. Tried every other possible combination. So I'm just going to use those two wires, green and white. I don't know which is meant to be hot and which is meant to be earth. I don't think it matters. But there you go, that's the pickup, so that's the reading, and that's what we're going to do, it's the way we're going to wire it. Well, friends, I don't know how to start this next bit, but let's start with where we are. So, okay, so my lad sent me 2 pots and a capacitor and some wire for the wiring. There's the 2 pots, and I've joined them both together. We've got the earth wire going through there, and he sent me a capacitor. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but he'd gone and bought one of these here bumblebees, and he gone and bought it from America. And I think he paid 55 quid plus 15 quid postage plus whatever import tax. So it's probably cost him 90 quid. And there you go. And so I went to install this, and as I went to install it, one of the legs fell off. So there you go. Piece of junk. You can't fix these. I've tried resoldering the wire into there, what's left of that. Nothing there, nothing to solder to. You can't fix them. So that's 90 quid of garbage that would not live up to the promises it made anyway. We're saying you get this great tone, this, that and the other. So he's wasted nigh on 90 quid. So I felt sorry for him, he's spending a lot of money here. He's had 2 guitars done. So I says, look, I'll go and look for a replacement. It won't be one, this is an actual original 1950s. Now I've told him to get in touch with the people on Reverb to get his money back. He's not done that, and I don't think he's going to do that. And he's probably not going to get his money back anyway. So I said, right, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go and look for a replacement, a modern equivalent of that, and see how much it costs. And I've gone and bought one. Now, if I bought 2, I couldn't buy one. I had to buy a pair of them. They cost me 72 quid for the pair, and I said, look, don't worry about it. I'll pay for it at my expense. So I'm down 72 quid on this job, because I shouldn't have had to replace this out of my pocket anyway, because it's not my fault. I'm just trying to go and solder that 1950s one in. It's just old. It's probably been in 15 guitars, but it was just old, and it's had it. And he should be getting his money back off the guy on Reverb. I will try and find out who the guy on Reverb is, and I will email him, and I'll say, look, mate, you're fucking junk, ripping people off. Now then, so I've gone and bought 2 of these from, I could only buy a pair, from Charles Guitars. And there you go, £71.50 for a pair on them. Now, I've got a nice sticker. There you go. Put that on my pedal board box, my pedal board box, I don't know what it is now. So I've got a nice sticker, nice card. And here they are. And I'm sure we're alright. And if you want that kind of capacitor on your guitar, that's what you're going to pay. Can't buy these in singles though, I couldn't. So there you go. So I've got one. There you go. Here's one. One for his guitar. 36, 37 quid. And one I've got going spare, which, will I use it? I don't know. But anyway, so I'm going to stick that on there. So that's at my cost. Now the thing is, why? Why would you go and spend 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 quid on one of these when one of these will do? Or when let me go into my little capacitor box here. Or when one of these will do. There you go, you got an orange drop, Sprog orange drop capacitor there. £1.97. These are even better. I've got a stack of these. I've got about 17, 18 of these left. These are Mullard mustard capacitors, new old stock from the 60s. I paid 20 quid for 20 of these. There's absolutely no difference in tone if these measure the same value. It's even them little 4p ones, little tiny disc ones you get in Gibson's. They're 4 cents. They're no different to that. Why pay 70 odd quid, 80, 90 quid or whatever for when you can pay pennies? I don't get it. But he wants one of these, so I've gone and bought him one. That's all at my expense. Come in this lovely box here. It's by Lux. Oh, you've actually made to the original specification, blah blah bull crap. And there's another sticker. Look at that. Look at that. I might stick that on my box here. Oh, and there's I won't stick that anywhere. That can go straight in the bin. It's not my cup of tea. And there you go. And you get a little wiring diagram. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. So you get all that bump. That's 72 quid for 2 capacitors. I could have spent £5 on. So anyway, so there you go. So that's what I'm doing out of the goodness of my heart. At least I could do, really. So that's where we are, the wiring. So I've got the little jig plate there. Got the 2 parts. I'm going to stick this in and we're going to get the wiring done. I mean, look at that. How am I supposed to wire that in? Where's that going to go? Look at the length on it. So I imagine I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to bend these legs over and round like so. And where I'm going to put it in, where I'm going to use these legs, and all being well, I won't snap one. I don't know if they get to go in a certain way. I don't think it matters which way they go in. So look at the diagram. I don't think it matters at all. That's not even one of the right ones. Okay, let's have a look here, see which way we've got it in. Okay. I'm assuming, very assuming sometimes, but let's just crack that one in there. Oh, we're somehow got to go around there, get this one in there, and we'll oink these in. But again, I don't get why people come and spend this money on this rubbish. It's not rubbish. It will absolutely totally do the job it's meant to do. I just don't get why I'd go and spend that kind of money on a capacitor when a 4p capacitor will do you. So there you go. Great massive hunk of crap in there. I'm going to solder this in a minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to loop this out of the way somewhere. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. So leave that with me. And but anyway, ran over. Let's crack on and get some work done. I've got the electrics done. A little bit of faffing about. It wouldn't work at first, and I realised it was the input jack wire was shorting on itself, so I've just dragged that out. And just for the sake of making things easy, I'm just going to turn it upside down and just show you as it is. Really simple. 1 volume, one tone, 1 capacitor, cable lead, 2 pickup wires. Everything's working fine, so I can put the back on there. I'm going to move on to levelling these frets next. With the electrics and such like done, we can now move on to getting these frets levelled and fitting the new nuts. So regarding the frets, I let my neck sit a couple of days, made sure it's level by placing a not straight edge over the frets on fingerboard, making sure it's level. And we're just going to check the 5 frets in question with a fret rocker again, just to make sure the areas I've marked are the high spots. And that's 1 fret. 2, 3, 4, and that one 5. You can hardly hear that one, that's because I'm using a smaller part of the fret rocker. But it does have high spots. So I'm going to be spot leveling. Spot leveling, we'll level that way. Rather than leveling the whole lot in one go, which I would definitely do if I had more than 5 high frets, I'm going to spot level this way. And to do so, I'm just going to use my flat file, made by Volorb. It's a Swiss file. It's a number 4 cut. It's super smooth, super sharp. I love this file. I've had it a number of years now, and it's just a fabulous file. And all I'm going to do is, you see I've got a fingerboard just covered, just so I don't scratch anything with the file. If I slip, I won't slip. But all I'm going to do is just basically steady the file with these fingers. I'm just going to roll across the top of a fret, just following the radius and letting the file remove those high spots from where I think the radius should be. And you do get a feel for this thing. You get to know over the years how a radius works. And it's still a little bit high, so always give the file a wipe and just keep following. I know where it's high, so I know where I'm filing. And we're just going to keep following that radius nice and steady. Keep checking, and we now have that fret level. And what we're going to do is going to check one forwards and one back just to make sure it is level, and it is absolutely level, because sometimes if we remove material from this one, it'll affect the relationship with these two and these two. But we've filed the right amount off there. This one's still level, this one's still level, so we know we've filed exactly the right amount off and we are level all around it. So all we need to do now is we've slightly flattened the top of that fret, we need to rebuild that crown. And again, really simple with today's technology and tools at our disposal. And for this I always tend to use my Z file by Stumac. Looking at you, it's a diamond file. Closest to you is a long shallow cut, and nearest to me is a short deep cut. And turn it 180 degrees, it's the complete opposite. Short deep cut next to you, long shallow cut next to me. The great thing about this is it will remove a certain amount from one side and a bit of amount from other. Turn it over, it does the complete opposite, but it will not touch the top of the fret. So you're not going to remove any height, so you don't need to worry about anything. And that's going to gently rebuild that crown for you. Now the only thing against this file is it doesn't build that crown in a perfect semicircular shape. If it is kind of a straight cut file, it will give you 2 angles, but what we do with that is we'll just come back over with a profiling file, which I'm going to show you in a second. But that, because of the 2 cuts, is left a thin line, or just a small amount on the top that's flat. So we've rebuilt that crown. And just to remove any imperfections or any burrs or any inconsistencies, we are then going to use a profiling file, which is this one. Again, a diamond file. I do believe this was made by Elmer. I was gifted this. Nigel Roberts gifted me this a few years ago. It's a brilliant file. And it's just a matter of going over the top and coming at a slight angle at the edges. And again, over the top. And we've now completely rebuilt that crown on the top of a fret. It will be consistent, straight and true. We've not removed any height, and we're just going to check with the fret rocker again. And that, my friends, is beautiful. Check one back, one forward, and that one is done. I'll leave the tape on there just so when I'm polishing them later, I'll know. In fact, I won't have to do that. I'll know which ones that need the extra little bit of polishing. So we can remove that tape. That one is done. Tell with my fingernails. Being a postman, dobbing your fingers in letterboxes every couple of minutes, your fingernails tend to stay short. I am a short fingernail wearer anyway. But that's that one done. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 to do. Again, you can lightly tap them with a fretting hammer just to make sure they are seated correctly. Always supported underneath. Still high, I'll be only a little bit. So clean the file, always clean the file after a fret. Tools out of the way. Again, same thing again, steady the file with your fingers and just follow follow the radius. This will probably be done now, just give that a check. That's fine. One forward, fine. One back, fine. Just a little bit off that one. Again, with this one, we're not even going to need the Z file. Just go straight on with the profiling file. And that's that one done. Again, let's check. Yep. And that's beautiful. So that's that one done. Next one, this is the one that needs the most material removing. Again, just slightly gently tap with the nylon side of a fretting hammer. Check where we are. It could just be unseated. No, it's still high. So again, clean the file and follow the radius. So I know it's just in this area now where I've still a little bit too much height. Good thing about doing it this way is your file cannot remove too much if you don't go heavy-handed, and I'm not heavy-handed anyway. Still a little bit more in that area. I think we're there. Check one forward, one back. And that is beautiful. I think we're right there. Just a tiny bit of a rock just in this area. And there you go. We are precision level. Again, Z file. Like I say, this will not touch the top of the fret. It's just rebuilding that crown. Clean the file. I will clean these files again with a steel brush or wire brush in a while. There you go, profiling file. And check. No rock, check back one, or forward one, whichever way we'll look at it. And that's it, perfect. So 3 done, these 2 left to do. I'll do these off camera. Once they're done, we can get on to putting the replacement nut on there, or we can shape the nut, cut the nut, get it roughly shaped, and we'll start fitting that nut. How are you doing, guys? I'm just setting up the guitar for installing these new vintage 3 tuners. And I've plugged the holes, the old ones, because I'm going to be drilling new ones. And I'm going to use this as a template for drilling the new holes. And I'm just going to drill them as deep as they need to be. So we're looking at about 1 centimetre depth. I'll be using a 2mm wide drill bit, which should be enough for these screws. I believe these screws are just over 2mm. I'm just going to get them out of their pack. These gubbins here. And they're quite big screws for these, but they're going to give us a good, they're going to be really, really good for the job. Now these are a vintage type tuner. They are a 3 type. We must always remember that the winder always goes to the top of the book match, the top of the headstock, or away from the body for the strings. One thing with these Clues-ons, the Clues-on bushings for the top side didn't fit the holes, so I've gone with the original Gibson ones on there. These are actually the Clues-on ones in there, so I was unable to use those, but I can use a tuner. So I'm going to set my drill up. I'm going to do it off camera. I just wanted to show that we've got the old holes filled up, and these are going to go in, and that's how we're going to set everything up. And it'll take me a few minutes to get these done, and once they're done, we can come back, I can start shaping the nut, and we can finally get some strings on this guitar and get it all set up. There you go, guys, we are all done. Really, really easy to install, nice and secure. and we can move on to the next part. So nylon nut, not something I'd normally think of installing, but for authenticity's sake and for a guy wanting the guitar to be like the original, he's gone for a nylon nut which I've glued in and shaped, and I'm just about to start marking out where I want those slots to be for the strings. And I could use the old nut, the one, remember I cut it in half to get it off, to get out. Really difficult to remove that. And a couple of ways I can mark for the strings, and I am actually going to go and use the proper piece of kit, which is a string spacing rule. So I'm going to measure the old ones. I'm going to want to go this way, and it's going to be somewhere around this kind of mark. So let's see where we are. Blue to blue, probably a bit more than that. Green to green. So these are references I use for myself. So 2 marks I'm using are the ones I've already got marked off. 2 black marks here. That one and that one. And this spaces the strings correctly for the centre of the strings for them to all have the same amount of spacing between each other. So all I'm going to do is, I'm just going to chat over about, doesn't seem, that's another one, that's why. It doesn't seem wide enough, but it does seem wide enough when you do it this way. So I'm hoping that this pen will go through. It probably won't. No, it's not going to do it. So I'm going to do it freehand. So let's see where we are. And that's the marks, and they line up with the marks on the rule. Just check again. Not quite lined up, so I'm going to come just over there. And there you go, I'm happy with that. So to get them started off, I'm just going to use an old file. I'm going to use a number 10 Hosco double-sided, that's for the 10 string, and I'm just going to start the grooves off with the 10 right on the centre, and that'll just give me a starter. What I come to is I'm going to slightly angle toward the tuner, same with this one. And that's given me a starter for each string. So I've slightly cut into there, and I can go a little bit deeper. And then I can come in with the correct size file out of here and start cutting the slots properly. So it's going to take me a while to do that, so I'm going to get that done again off camera, and I'll come back and show you the results shortly. And here we are with the Les Paul Junior, and it's all done. And yeah, what a great looking thing. So what have we done with this? Well, we put a bumblebee cap in the back there, the one that came from America. On installing it, bust, the leg bust off. Totally not my fault, it was an old one, originally from the 50s, but told the owner, and he says, well, you know, if you can replace it, blah blah blah, I'll pay for it. I said, no, you're alright, it's happened in my care, I'll pay for it. I had to go and buy a pair. It cost me 72 quid for the pairs. I get to keep one, not that I'll ever use it, but they are totally not my thing. I don't do all this bump on these old caps. Have got proper mojo tone and all that. Yeah, but a cap's a cap, that's it. But anyway, back to the guitar. So we swapped the cap in there, 2 new pots in there, new wraparound bridge by from Mojo X there, blah 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 blah. Some 3/3 tuners on the strip there being installed. I had to use the old original Gibson grommets in there because the Clues on ones didn't fit. what else we've done? Giving it a fret level, complete setup, rewire, what have you. Oh, and a brand new nylon nut on there, hand carved, hand cut, and it's all good, and it really looks apart. It plays really nicely. I've done a setup, I've set it up obviously, and what a lovely looking guitar. Not without a few imperfections here and there on the guitar, a couple of dinks and scratches, but the owner has said he's not bothered about anything like that. They don't bother him at all. We did get some chipping around the nut area. I did tell him Miss My Tap when I replaced the nut. He says, don't worry about that, I'm not bothered about dings and dongs and knocks. But there you go. What a beautiful looking thing. Gibson Les Paul Junior. We've got it all back to 50 or 50s spec. Beautiful looking thing. And if this is your thing, what can I say? You're not going to get a much better one than this. Beautiful, beautiful guitar. But that is it. It is all done. Ready to go back to the owner. I'm going to move on to his SG in a minute. He did bring me 2 guitars. Spending a lot of money, this lad. But that is it. Like I say, it is all done. So one thing to do before I wrap up this video is remind you of my website. It's fretfriend.co.uk. Even better, there's a lot more information on Facebook. So facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. I'm Victor. I am your fret friend. Until the next time, as always, God bless you. Be good to each other. And I'll see you in the next one.